It's a normal day in Metropolis. The sun is shining, nothing could go wrong. Something in the sky temporarily blocks out the sun. It's a spaceship, and it's crashing down into the city and lands in the docks. Almost immediately, the spaceship is met by Superman and the Legion of Superheroes. An alien woman steps out of the ship and points up at the sun. Our heroes don't understand this alien and agree to take her back to their base and get her a translator. Back at their base, the alien tells them that they are here to warn the superheroes. They have watched countless times as a Sun Eater has enveloped sun after sun and destroyed countless worlds, leaving it in darkness. Wonder Woman speaks up and tells them they need to figure out how to defend against it. This alien has witnessed thousands of different attempts, all which have failed. That's when Big Barda and Mr. Miracle come up with an idea. Using one of Mr. Miracle's boom tubes, a portal for travel, they might be able to suck the Sun Eater into it and stop this. Superman chimes in that while they send out a team into space to deal with the Sun Eater, they need teams on the streets dealing with the panic. They need to hope for the best, and Batman chimes in and be prepared for the worst. Mr. Miracle's team sets off into space to encounter the Sun Eater. When they spot the Sun Eater, they activate the boom tube. But the boom tube just isn't enough. In attempt 1 to stop the Sun Eater fails. Superman comes up with plan B. They can lure in the Sun Eater with a second sun. All the superheroes pour out all their energy into one giant mass, creating a smaller second sun that can be seen all around the world. The heroes are giving it all they got, and it's actually working and luring in the Sun Eater. The Sun Eater destroys this newer, smaller second sun, and then goes on to the bigger sun. Attempt 2 has now failed, and the planet all of a sudden gets much colder, and the heroes look on as the sun is blocked out by the Sun Eater, leaving the Earth in darkness. Days go by without the sun. The planet is cooling, and it starts to snow. Desperate to save the planet, Lex Luthor and Superman team up to find a way to save it. People in the streets are creating fires just to stay warm, and heroes like Wonder Woman, Big Barda, and Captain Marvel Jr. are doing the best they can to stop them. While heroes are busy doing all they can to save the planet, villains like Vandal Savage take advantage of the chaos. The immortal warlord Vandal Savage is trying to steal the Mona Lisa when he's stopped by Batman. Savage shoots at Batman, but all the bullets miss. Batman ties a batarang around him and takes him down. Vandal Savage is shocked how Batman dodged all the bullets. Batman reveals that he had a little help from the Man of Steel. Superman caught all the bullets, but without the sun to power him, he's slowly becoming weaker. Lex Luthor is hard at work developing a plan to stop the Sun Eater, but he needs to send a probe inside of the Sun Eater, someone who can withstand the heat. They send Kyle Rayner, the new Green Lantern, out into the Sun Eater to collect more info, and Kyle is happy to report that the sun is still here, it's just blocked. Rioters have found out about this alien who came to Earth and believe she brought the Earth Eater with her, and they start to attack her, but they're stopped by Black Canary, Nightwing, Flash, and Robin. There's just too many rioters though, and it's getting out of control, and they carry the alien Dusk away. But she's saved by a new hero calling himself Pharaoh. A few days pass, and the sun's not getting any better. Hope will soon be lost. Pharaoh and Guy Gardner bring in an injured Wildcat. A girl turns to Pharaoh and asks, "You're that guy who saved Dust the other day, right? The name's Sparks. Here, take my Legion flight ring. You're gonna need it more than I do." Lex Luthor is holding a press conference, telling all the people of the city all the new ways he has to save the sun. But behind the scenes, something else is going on. Brainiac tells our heroes that the sun's diameter is shrinking, and they only have 24 hours to save the sun. The alien messenger Dusk, fearing for her life, wants to abandon the Earth and all its violent people, and move on to the next world and warn them. She turns around spooked by a voice, only to find the Phantom Stranger. He tells Dusk that humanity is capable of many great things, and to give him one more shot. He wants to show her something. He teleports him into a room where they find Barbara Gordon, who just received the news that the Earth has 24 hours, Yet, she will remain to maintain communications between heroes. He then shows Dusk, Firestorm, the Ray, Zatanna, and Fire doing their best to protect the village from the cold. He then shows her the original Green Lantern, Alan Scott, saving lives and spending his last few hours with his kids. Phantom Stranger tells Dusk all around the world heroes are doing their best to protect lives. Aquaman, Batman and Robin, Guy Gardner, Superman and the Guardian, Wonder Woman, you name it, they're capable of great things. He then drops her off alone in an alley, and she's terrified when she sees a mob, and they come after her. But they say, "You're that Dusk girl, right? We better get you out of this cold. We don't want anything happening to you." Across the country, Superman, slowly losing his powers, flies to visit his parents. Superman's dad asks if they beat the Sun Eater yet. He has to put the winter wheats in, and Superman tells him, "You won't have to worry about that too much longer." And that's when his mother asks, "Is it that bad?" Out in space, the cyborg Superman is on the run after destroying Coast City. But it's not long before he's found by the former Green Lantern, Hal Jordan, who went mad after cyborg Superman destroyed his hometown, Coast City, and now goes by Parallax. A fight breaks out between the two, and Hal Jordan, now possessing infinite powers as Parallax, summons 7 million people who died in Coast City to attack the cyborg Superman, and he's destroyed. Now that he has avenged his hometown and all the people who died in it, there's nothing left for Hal Jordan to do. Just then, the new Green Lantern, Kyle Rayner, shows up. Kyle tells Hal that there's still a chance to be a hero. The Earth is threatened by the Sun Eater, and only Hal's powers can save it. Hal uses his powers to make Kyle disappear. He then contemplates his decision, and goes in person to check out the Sun Eater. Fearing the end of the world, Guy Gardner wants to have one last hoorah. That's when Hal Jordan shows up to speak with him. Hal asks Guy, "For so many years people hated you. You were the worst Green Lantern. Everyone despised you. But you would still save the day. Why?" That's when Guy tells him, at the end of the day, it was about being a hero and doing what's right. Hal tells Guy, despite all the conflicts they've had, he only wanted Guy watching his back. He thanks him and then disappears. Hal visits one of his greatest friends, John Stewart, who's now crippled, and using his powers, he heals John's legs, and John can now walk. He then disappears. Hal's next stop is to see his friend Tom, who's taking the noose of the sun's demise badly. He wants to keep busy to keep from thinking about it. He tells Hal, though, that he thinks Hal's here to fix things, like he always does, because Hal is a hero. Hal has one more person to see, the love of his life, Carol Ferris, and she's not surprised to see him. They share a passionate kiss before Hal disappears. Hal returns to the wreckage of Coast City to weigh his options. Kyle Rayner returns and asks why they're evacuating Metropolis, and Wonder Woman pulls him aside and says, "You don't know, do you?" Inside their headquarters, Brainiac tells all the heroes that the sun is going to go supernova and cease to exist soon. But Lex Luthor has developed force fields he can put in space to save the Earth from the explosion of the sun. Superman tells Dusk that she should be on her way to warn the next planet about the Sun Eater. But Dusk is going to stay. It would be an honor to stand or fall with all of them. Lex Luthor tells the group the only problem with his force fields is someone will have to put them in space himself. Someone who can withstand the Sun Eater. And without Superman's powers, he can't do it. So Green Lantern is the only option left. Kyle Rayner agrees to do it, but it's at that moment he suddenly disappears and appears before Hal Jordan. Hal tells Kyle that he has now agreed to help them. With Green Lantern suddenly disappearing, the superheroes are scrambling to find someone who can do the force fields in space. Luckily, they have a spaceship, but someone needs to fly it. Batman suggests Lex Luthor do it since he's familiar with the technology already. Lex Luthor is shocked. Everything he's done so he could live. Superman tells him, though, that his reaction is only human. Superman will go. He already lost Krypton once, and he's not going to lose another planet. That's when Shazam steps in and tells him he's crazy. He doesn't stand a chance out there without his powers. He'll die. But Superman knows this. But there's a chance the supernova will reactivate his powers. Pharaoh and the other heroes look on. That's a real hero right there. It doesn't matter about the powers. It's about the courage and the heart. Superman sits down to write Lois a letter before he does this. But just then, the spaceship takes off, and Superman storms out. Who's on that ship? The heroes look on the monitor, and it's Pharaoh in the spaceship, and he won't fail. He has to give Spark her Legion flight ring back. Heroes are frantically looking for a way to save Pharaoh. That's when a green light shows up behind them, and it says, "Maybe I can do something." It's Hal Jordan, Parallax, here to help. Superman is happy to see Hal, but Batman, on the other hand, is not. Superman asks Hal if he can save Pharaoh from his doom, and Hal says of course, but why stop there? After the sun goes supernova, it'll be weaker, and all the snow and ice will melt, causing massive flooding. But Hal can use his powers to re-energize the sun and save everything. Superman reaches out a hand to shake Hal's, and he says, "I always hoped you'd come back, Hal." And Hal tells him, "I'm not coming back. I'm just setting things right. That's all I ever wanted to do." And he disappears into space. Out in space, the sun goes supernova, blowing up. And Pharaoh utters his last words. "Saturn girl, can you hear me? I'm sorry I didn't give Sparks back her Legion flight ring." Everything goes white, and somehow Pharaoh's alive. And a voice says, "Can't have that, son. I know how important rings can be." It's Hal Jordan, and he just saved Pharaoh. And he uses his powers to send Pharaoh back to Earth. Hal Jordan reaches out, summoning all of his powers. "In brightest day, in darkest night, no evil shall escape my sight. Let those who worship evil's might beware my power." And there's a giant glow, and suddenly the sun is back. All around the world, people are looking up into the sky, looking at the sun, a sight they thought they'd never see again. The final night is over. Superman and Batman are enjoying the sunrise, a sight they thought they'd never see again. And Superman tells Batman he had wished it had been him, but at least in the end, Hal redeemed himself. Batman tells Superman he's still a murderer. One shining moment doesn't redeem him for everything he did. Jordan hasn't changed one bit. Superman replies, "People don't always notice when they've changed. I'll always think Hal died a hero." And Batman says, "Too bad that's not how he lived." And he swings off into the daylight. And that's the end of the Final Night story. Thanks for watching. Be sure to support the Priestley Forsyth Memorial Library. Helping us online like this is great, but make sure you comment in person. Be sure to check out our other videos on the channel and subscribe, like, comment, all that stuff. Thanks for watching. Have a great time. Be safe.